The happiness factor. Are you happy? Or do you have the New York face? The most talked about college course in America is not about making money or saving the world. The number one course in America is how to be happy. Truly happy. Professor Laurie Santos discovered that her college students at Yale University are not happy. They're overwhelmed, they're stressed, and they are depressed. The USA recently ranked 18th in the UN's World Happiness Report, trailing Finland, number 1, Canada, number 7, and Australia, number 10. In the face of this epidemic of unhappiness, Professor Santos decided to design a course in positive psychology, i.e. the field of study that focuses on well-being as opposed to psychological dysfunction. Now, such classes have been around for more than a decade. They served as introductions to the field of, Happiness 101. But Professor Santos' course aims to do more. This Yale course is different. It focuses on behavior change, the science of how to move your behavior around. How do we actually change our habits and use our situation to our advantage? In her first lecture, she wants to teach not just the science of happiness, but the practice of happiness. And it turns out that happiness takes practice. First, you have to learn exactly what happiness is. The question the course asks is, what is happiness? And why aren't you happy? And what can you do to change that? Professor Santos even has a listening playlist of music. Number 1 is Happy by Pharrell. Number 2 is Roar by Katy Perry. Number 3, Push It by Salt and Pepper. 4, Gratitude by Earth, Wind and Fire. 5, Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. And 6, Automatic by the Pointer Sisters. There is a prerequisite to taking this Yale course. It's the happiness inventory. And you can take this quiz too. It's available for free online. Students take the quiz to get a baseline for where their happiness is, and then they check it at the end of the course to see how they progressed. Now, Professor Santos' quiz is at COURSERA.com. I'll put it in the description. A guest lecturer at her course was a woman named Hetty Kober. And this is what she said. She said to keep it down, because a lot of people think of happiness as a very, very excited emotion. They expect happiness to be this constant state of ecstasy, as opposed to equanimity, attainable form of happiness, almost like a quiet joy. It doesn't look like winning the lottery. It looks more like sitting quietly and noticing that your life is actually wonderful. And for extra credit, Professor Santos says keep a daily journal of gratitude. For 1 week, write down at least 5 things you're grateful for each day. Big or small things, it doesn't matter. One study found that in severely depressed patients, taking the time to record just 3 things daily over 15 days led to a reported increase in well-being in 94% of respondents. So we can trick our brains about our well-being. Now, make a short list of things that you think will make you happy or make you happier. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Nearly everything we think will make us happier won't. Assuming our basic needs are met in some circumstantial change. Santos' lecture proposes that 50% of happiness is determined by genes, of course, and roughly 10% is determined by our circumstances, but the final 40% is determined by our thoughts, our actions, and our attitudes. Yep, thoughts, actions, and attitudes are entirely within our own control. Oh, and a study alert, having responsibility over something else, like a child, a pet, or a garden, makes you feel happier. In one study, residents of a nursing home were given plants. Half were charged with caring for the plant themselves, and the other half were told that a staff member would do it for them. Now, after 6 months, 30% of those who outsourced their plant care had died at twice the rate of those who cared for the plants themselves. So what's the true source of personal happiness? This is a proven fact. Happy people devote time to family and friends. They practice gratitude. They practice optimism. And they're physically active. And they savor life's simple pleasures. And they try to live in the moment. Oh, and about money? The basic point remains that once your basic needs are met, food, lodging, etc., then the relationship between money and happiness becomes purely theoretical. Now, some say we spend more time overvaluing money and undervaluing time. If you feel you never have enough time, you are in a time famine. If you have time to spare, you have time affluence. Both time and money are commodities. Time is money. But there is a difference between them. As a personal commodity, money is extremely elastic in that you can theoretically accumulate it in infinite amounts, and your income will fluctuate at different points in your life. But time, by contrast, is intrinsically inelastic. You can't accumulate more time. You get the same amount of hours every day. So an hour should be much more valuable than $1. This is illogical, but we consider an overabundance of money a status symbol. But an overabundance of time is considered shameful. Now, not all cultures feel this way. So with that said, a Harvard professor made a radical claim that happiness isn't something we choose or achieve, but rather something we manufacture. In other words, you don't find happiness, you make happiness. Happiness in the end is a mindset to be cultivated, not a condition to be imposed. So if you're interested, I'll add in the description a list of books that are recommended for reading on this subject of happiness and how to have it and how to cultivate it. Well, like, subscribe, and think for yourself. This has been a Marrilogic channel.